order. And with that, Mr. Town Manager of the marketing RFP and blueprint.
Excuse me. Caught me in a bite. So you all witnessed the presentation of our destination blueprint. We're going to have a much bigger discussion on year 2 and 3 and the expansion of marketing within the town and possible means of funding it. But tonight I'd like to talk about specifically about the RFP that was prepared by our consultant for year 1 tours and marketing. The year 1 budget anticipated by this RFP is $127,000. Year 1 will stretch between 2026 and 2027. We have $100,000 budgeted for marketing in 2026. So this is a perfectly acceptable thing. As I said, we'll talk about year 2, which would start next year. This RFP calls out for 6 different elements to it, basically. First element is brand development, then website development and events calendar. We do have visit keystone.com. Then some content production. We call it 4-season content production. That's really, it's not 4 season as much as it is the other 3 seasons. Winter's involved in it, but social media launch and management, pilot marketing campaign, which it would be this fall's campaign, and public relations and media visits. Now, the recommended release on this RFP is tomorrow by our consultant with a return on July 22nd. People can bid on the entirety of this or on any single one element of it. I imagine, well, we'll see what sort of bids come in and what we put out. I just guess I'd like feedback on the anticipated cost and each of these elements as we go through it. And I'd also like Councilmember Kerr and Gabby to weigh in on their thoughts over this RFP and the year 1 plan.
I think the critical thing to note is that Dave Santucci, when he put this together at our request, was very cognizant of our funding limitations. And he built this to allow us to tailor it. So it is specifically written to allow us to review proposals. And the review of the proposals can be done by the subject matter experts who man our marketing committee. So it's not like that one of us would look at it and say, I don't know what good is. We will have that advice. The second part is we have the right to say, well, looks like the only one we're comfortable is going ahead with the brand development. Or another example, since Gabby has done work to create, first she got the Visit Keystone web domain for us, and she actually has our regular web content, web developer, developing what we have called an interim website, and I Visit Keystone website, and I think that's due in August.
So, do you want me to take it over?
No, just give me that one day, August or September.
But we're saying fall.
Okay.
So, and that will be something that can be inputted.
Let me just roll here, and then I'd like to hand it over to you. My point is, they're going to look at what and talk to us when they develop these proposals, and one proposal may be to say, you've already done some groundwork, we're going to run with that. And then others might say, no, we're going to take over and create something new, and that will be up to us. I think this is our investment as a council and as a town staff in finding out what is possible and what each element would cost us.
And before Gabby talks, I just want to also stress, this is an RFP. This is not contracts. There's no commitment. Just because we put this out doesn't mean we have to do any of this. The reason we have to do some of this is because once again, the difference between legal and political, this council is committed to the town, that we are going to help with the marketing of the town, just as evidenced by the budget line alone, let alone discussions we've had going into this program, Destination Blueprint program.
And if I can echo what you said a few minutes ago, our partners, Arapahoe Basin and Keystone Resort, have robust PR and marketing programs for winter. We need not invest much in that. We need to invest in the other seasons. And if you look around at our neighboring towns, that's Breckenridge's approach to do something with the other seasons. Gabby, please.
As far as the website goes, it is currently going to be in our regular municipal website. And then for our other efforts, we are looking at those cooperative efforts with rail resorts, A Basin, and Kindred to all cooperate together. So we're working together instead of not running off like why market winter when there are this amazing efforts and sharing resources. So collaborating with our photos and our events, for example, like 4th of July weekend this weekend, KMC is doing the 3rd, we're doing the 4th. So all working together to make that complete package.
Could you, so one of my questions I had was like, can we use VR's teams to do images? Do we have to bring in an outside consultant?
No.
Denver, like, so it's like, what, are you able to expand a little bit more on what those partnerships look like and what kind of assurances do we have that if we spend $127,000 on this, that all of a sudden those teams aren't going to be like, well, free marketing, we can save some money now.
Well, that's why I did focus our attention that our monies will be spent on those shoulder seasons where our big partners already own a big piece of the market share with respect to winter.
I mean, I think that's respectfully, I think that's significantly overlooking Vail's conference marketing. And they do.
We would like to help that. Yes.
Sure.
You're right.
And
Not overlooking. We just
totally
have that partnership in place yet.
I share the thought that they are already marketing multiple seasons. So the question has to be, what are we marketing that they're not marketing? Because we're not looking to spend public monies to advertise for. Go ahead.
No, perfect timing on this because we met with their marketing people, Shannon Bueller and Mark Kimball earlier today, and they introduced their marketing programs for Keystone and for the 5 Colorado resorts and to a more of an extent the destination resorts. And they don't market all the seasons here. They focus almost entirely on winter, and even their conference marketing is not, no.
it's a growing focus.
Yes, it needs a lot more, it needs a lot of help. But I think what I really want to point out is even before we have anything set up, they reached out and said, just so you guys know, this is what we're doing, this is what we're focusing on.
And in that session, they also shared with us the customer demographic data that or the top level demographic data that they've captured through the scans and their extensive reach out to identify who the market is, which would be helpful to us. So there's a willingness there to share, we would have a different focus than they would have.
And I want to point out, there will be overlap.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
all of our things, but we are also going to market things that Vail Resorts certainly won't. Like, we want the leaf peepers who come over to Loveland Pass to stop at any of our restaurants, our shops in Keystone. And that's something Vail Resorts has no interest in marketing to.
We may be interested in establishing a partnership with the Arapaho to try to become recognized as their lodging base. Vail Resorts wouldn't touch that. That would be directly counter to them, but they would not object to that.
Yeah.
They're not going to fight that. But again, that's not something that they can market to say, we want Icon Pass members to stay at Keystone.
Well, that's what they're doing. Kindred.
Well,
But they're not, remember, Kindred, was pushed by Kindred was pushed by the development group that pushed that.
Dan has his hand up, by the way.
what?
Dan has his hand up, by the way.
All right.
Oh, a couple questions and a little unrelated, but I'll ask them both. The first one is that we have $100,000 in the budget this year. Haven't we already spent some of that though? I mean, do we have 100 left? That's the first question. And then the second question is, actually, who's going to run this thing? Let's assume that, I mean, and by the way, my career has always been in sales and marketing, so I'm a big proponent of this, but I also know it takes some commitment and resources. Yeah, John, do you have somebody that you're going to staff to run this thing if we have all these programs get going?
That would be at Gabby right now. And we'll have discussions on how we're going to, if and how we'll expand the program in the future for years 2 and 3. But Gabby is more than prepared to handle this first part of it, and she's getting more prepared every week.
But I'll tell you, my concern is the evaluation of the products and the acceptability. I don't think Gabby is ready there for that.
No, but that's the marketing committee.
You talk about acceptability. I think that's a very good.
Are they delivering what we expected, and is it proper?
If I may, you use the word acceptability. I think that's very wise. I worked in public relations for the government for many years, and we have high levels of acceptability. And so that is why the marketing committee, and I will say, Amy and I would be very focused on that sort of thing. Gabby, as a staff member, will do a lot of execution, but we would be the ones who are assessing products. For the most part, we're looking at things like photos and videos and short narratives that tell the story. And the PR or marketing firm would capture and put those together, but they don't just work in their own little realm. Let me give an odd example. I don't know if anybody here has ever watched HGTV programs where essentially the designer comes in and looks at the homeowners and gives them the look like, you don't know what you're doing. I'll do this for you. I'll make all the decisions. And then you'll walk in and say, oh, this is wonderful. I don't believe in that. That's not how we would run this. We can't just assume that they're going to have our mindset in their heads. And so it's an iterative experience. It doesn't matter whether we do this next year or in 5 years, that's still going to be true. You need some reps from the committee and from the council who will work with them and ensure that they understand what matters to us. Where's the cutoff where we would never put out a video about that drunken rage, for example. You'd think that would be obvious, but that's part of, well, not on our website, John.
What are you talking about?
Well, who knows?
But yeah, our marketing committee would analyze the returns, and then ultimately it would be your decisions.
Right, absolutely. And just to reiterate, Amy talks about her long experience living in this area, but what I value most is her many, many years' experience in working with the Breck Tourism Office. Whitney from A Basin is an experienced marketer for that. So these are folks who have not just the education, but also the experience to understand what's involved here. And there'll be some stumbles, but I'm hoping we can get started.
As you're looking at content, all of the content items, social media launch and management in that is, and that's really late spring for implementation of that, as I remember looking through this roughly. Some of them a little earlier. The question is, what are we going to do with the information? Since we don't have a staff, we don't have any other programs going.
We also don't have a brand, and we don't have a fully built out website. Those are foundational.
I didn't ask about those.
Yeah.
I asked about.
Well, that's why I'm not
generation.
sure. I'd like to see what they propose because I don't know whether that's necessary. I think that's a valid question that we would explore in this very practical way.
Yeah, I understand. I'm a strong supporter that we need a function. In fact, I'm a strong supporter of all of the elements. My question is to make sure that we don't buy something and it sits on the shelf because we don't have the staff to go ahead and execute it as we're going forward. So the actual cost of this is probably more than $130,000 in a couple hours of Gabby's time.
A lot more than a couple hours, but this is step one in a not ending program, probably. If we're going back to that step, should we have a marketing program? That's a discussion we need to have. Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
I think you're talking about timing.
Yeah, I'm talking, well, what I'm worried about is, one, I think we need a marketing program. I think we need a basic capability in a staff. And then, and we have to be able to size that as we go forward. And eventually we're going to have to go to the voters for money to put a marketing program, a demo program together. Part of this is going to be timing of that, of when do we want to go to the voters for implementation and ask for dollars. And then we have to size that. And I'm not sure when that is yet. I'd like to do it sooner rather than later, just because I believe this is very important to us as we go forward, particularly as we're attacking the summer and particularly as we're attacking, I love their concept of attacking the midweek stays, because that's what dropped.
So the way we're budgeted right now, that could continue to use this content developed. If we maintained our current budget, this is not going to be put on a shelf because that budget will then be implementing some of these things to a lesser extent than anticipated in the CTO, the scope of the report, the destination blueprint. But
getting back to like the juncture of Dan's first half of his question and Ken's concern is, where do we place this program in terms of timeline and spend, considering it's a non-trivial matter to go to the voters and ask for tax monies to be spent on marketing to bring more people here? This is a very touchy issue in this community. We cannot expect universal support on this. So I would love to hear first the answer to the first part of Dan's question, which is how much have we been spending on other marketing things? How much of that 100,000 is left in this budget? And I'd like to follow that up with, as we're looking at potential shortfalls related to any weather events, while we might be fine, are we still fine if we're starting to like reach forward for more money? And it mentions taking some money out of next year's budget, but if I'm recalling the original presentation, the spend goes up year after year. So how is this going to work?
And that's why I started this with the concept that this is just about this RFP to get us going. If we don't do these things, we have to do these things if we want a marketing program. At some point, if we want a marketing program, we have to do these things. Now, the question is, do you want to start now or at some point in the far future? The next question is, how do we want to expand on this in the far future? And that's a whole different work session where I need to punch some tax numbers, punch some options like that. We'll talk about their proposed plans, years 2 and 3 and beyond. They're not calendar years, they're years of our marketing program, basically.
We'll call it the marketing year, June to June.
June to June marketing year. And that's a whole different question.
Could you respond to the very specific, what have we spent? I think that's
I'm not,
$1,000 for.
yeah, we have well over 90.
So out of the $100,000 budget that we have, we spent about $4,000 on the website.
Okay.
So we've got that $96,000.
Does that include the domain purchase?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for that clarity.
And is there,
But you have website development also occurring under another effort to support this, don't you?
So the website for the marketing part is in the marketing plan. The website for our town website is in the website under operating.
The website that's happening is a very minimal
it's a
thing.
it's a few
calendar
pages,
thing.
it's too large.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Let's go to Dan.
hold on, let me finish my line of questioning, please, here. So if we do have most of that 100,000, which I think was Dan's first part of his question, but my question is still, I get that you're saying that there's more to discuss later, but I'm really reticent to like hop on the first step of a $130,000 journey with the answer being like, yeah, but it gets much more expensive and much harder to figure out later, but we'll figure that out later, or we'll just not.
No,
But finishing that question, 130,000, this mentions pulling that remaining money out of the future budget. But my question is, isn't the future budget also going to need even more than 130,000?
Oh, you're saying your year 2 funding
Yeah,
in the plan is 300 or something, 200,000 something. It's more than the current.
it's proposed. Anything, if we maintain our marketing budget, we need these proposals, this information, and we can still do something with it at current levels of marketing. We can't do as much as we could get a greater ROI if we do take the recommendations of the experts. But the point is, there is still ROI from maintaining our current marketing budget, in which case we'd still need these things to give us direction on how to spend our current marketing budget. So doing this is not a dead end. It's always been anticipated that there would be a marketing budget. The marketing budget was never anticipated to be a one-off.
Go to Dan.
A few things. Number one, is Dave bidding on this RFP as well? His company?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, he wrote the RFP, so are we going to allow him to bid or not? Or is he expecting to?
He hasn't mentioned.
There has been no discussion to that point. I don't know why we would disallow him, because we have every right to say, if we were to get a proposal for him, to say, oh, well, that doesn't meet what we're looking for.
But even given that, there are some things that I don't think are necessarily in his purview,
That's true.
like brand development.
Right.
I really anticipate that this will most likely result in the selection of several different consultants for the different prongs of this.
And to that end,
I was gonna say, I've tried to, go ahead.
His thought, when he says we could end up with several different vendors for different pieces of that, and we can execute them on different timelines as well. If we all understand that the brand development needs to be done first, the website build out, then we can, depending on our event planning, put off or move up some of these other functions.
I guess I would like our lawyer to at least make sure that if have somebody like Dave develop an RFP for us and then he responds to the RFP, what kind of issues we might face there, because that's been a challenge I've always had in the public sector when I've tried to bid.
Yeah, I believe that, I don't believe our attorneys had an opportunity to review the RFP yet. And one of the things before approving anything, I would request council insist that we have an attorney review of the RFP from a legal standpoint.
Okay. No, the second thing I wanted to add was I've also, in developing RFPs, had add for each section expected effort on our part. What to make this successful, the various components, what is the expected effort from us, whether that's staffing, hours, expertise, etc. So if we do send this out, I would expect us to ask that on every component.
In other words, ask them to, as part of the proposal, to give us their expectation of the amount of hours that we would need to expend to support their effort.
I think
Correct.
that's a wise way forward.
John.
Thank you. And I'm really sorry if I missed this, but I distinctly remember this conversation where we talked about this presentation and there was several concerns around it, namely the assumptions that were noted about the possible return on investment in the millions. And I mean, we did some quick math on the call and it didn't seem to tick and tie. So unless I missed that, I'm sorry.
Did you see the email that Carol sent out this weekend that had the answers to the questions?
So I missed it. Thank you.
So to be fair, what we're looking at here tonight is not that presentation. And many of you had questions during the presentation. Several of you had follow-on questions. I think, John, you were one of them. And all of that he put in a single document that I've passed on to you.
Great, thank you. One of the, I guess, concerns I have about the proposed future iterations is this agency of record, which my understanding, and I asked somebody who maybe was
One of the things that he addressed. And you're right.
Could you sum it up for me if possible?
No, I would just say we have that option.
I think it's worth summarizing some of these concerns because it was a meeting of public record where we expressed these concerns. If he's answered these concerns, it should be entered into the public record rather than making someone Cora of that email.
Was that email sent out to everybody that we requested? Was it sent out as part of the amendment to the package? It's
Do not.
requested by the attorney?
I do not believe so.
It was not.
Might be good to put a pin in this then.
Yes.
While we're looking for that, right, I would just like to voice or echo what the mayor had said about support of this generally, but there's some concerns in the ironing out of the details, but love the idea.
And
I also love the idea. I would add one thing, like looking at some of these budget items, like 12,000 for social media. That's going to be quite the social media campaign to our like 30 followers.
So
we have 300.
I think that's an excellent example of the kind of thing we would look at a proposal and say, do we want to?
Yeah.
Now, the rest of the story is that any proposal that we get would probably include a social media management function. I don't even remember from a few years ago the names of these, but you write a single post and it creates, it recreates it for different social media platforms. You can schedule it. And that minimizes staff time. you do have to pay for the software up front, but it's not terribly expensive. But that's the kind of thing we would assess once we start asking the questions. We're kind of in the dark right now.
I do see a lot of these like critical components that have to happen.
Yep.
And one of them is branding. And I think one thing that I would ask as part of this is like, if we're going to actually do some branding, then we should probably look at something that came from like the startup of this town. There was discussion about having like a community sourced logo for the town. I don't know where our current logo came from. I'm personally not a fan of it. And I think that that would be one of our biggest opportunities. If we're going to start investing in branding, that would need to be part of it for me, is looking at our logo.
Our community, one of our community members came up with that as an interim, just to start us off during the election period, which was generous of him. It was useful. And yet we've been almost 2.5 years in using that. And that's probably not the be all and end all.
I think it's a major thing.
Yeah, the proposal you talked about was one of our colleagues had said, why don't we reach out to like the high school and see if an artist,
Yeah.
well, grade school. And my concern at that time was, what if we get a bunch of proposals that are very sweet, but not capturing who we are as far as the council is
I
concerned?
believe this plan in the branding area talks about what, 2 community engagement sessions with the community that was in here.
Necessary.
And so that would be an opportunity for the community to weigh in. I wouldn't necessarily go out with a contest to the communities.
I'm not saying that has to be our solution.
But the community engagement
But
is
if you look at
brilliant.
the proposal, there are 2 community engagement levels involvement in branding.
And back, if I may, back to Councilmember Kerr's email. That email is much more germane to our
The bigger.
bigger discussion rather than this single RFP.
So I hesitated when you said, John, let's table this until you read that. But as John notes, it's about the big strategy, not about this startup piece, RFP.
And
again, if we don't like the proposals, we don't execute them.
yeah, this is not committing us to anything.
The only real problem, other than my concern about how you're going to handle staffing, my only real concern is you want to run a marketing campaign for something, prototype marketing campaign, a couple months, or really to impact the fall, when we starting from a dead stop at the end of August. And my question is it more useful to get the products developed and focus that prototype campaign on initial campaign on next summer, on the next summer activities?
We have been discussing it, but once again, I think this is what RFPs are for. This is, when we get the RFPs back on this, we might look at the returns and go, well, this doesn't make sense. It's going to cost too much money, not do enough, not make enough of a difference this fall. I don't think we're ready for it. I don't think we should accept any of these proposals and should instead refocus our initial marketing campaign on next summer's.
Or what you may want to do is in the RFP, ask the offerers whether they would propose doing something immediately or waiting till next summer. And so, because normally if we have an RFP, I'm used to RFPs, I've done a lot of them on the government side and on the contractor side. Now, if I have an RFP that says, I want you to do something in the fall, they'll come up and give you a proposal to do that. But the question from our standpoint is, do we even want to ask the question? Because the impact, their ability to impact visitors to this community in September, when they just get a contract on the 20-something of August, is almost zero.
I don't disagree. And that's why this was developed, this concept for a September strategy was developed many months ago to correspond with the 150, 250 anniversary. setting that aside, there are probably small things that we can do akin to the 4th of July celebration that are not major investments, but could take advantage of getting more attention. So the heart of this strategy is if people are coming here already for the winter or for the summer, let's just help them understand that there are other things to do while you're here, and there are other seasons that you can explore.
We could definitely,
So it's just like taking an appetite suppressant for the September
I
icons.
could definitely see changing segment E to develop a in-market
For summer
in
and
summer rather than for this fall. That's, yeah,
And we would probably want to ask them to focus on next fall because,
yeah.
we are underestimated as far as, we've got aspen leaves. Our aspen leaves turn gold. We have hiking and biking. Why is everybody going to Breck? Because nobody's thinking of us. That's what we want to turn.
I mean, anecdotally, right, was very fortunate to be at the Kindred for the opening reception, right? And kind of a common trend that a lot of folks were talking about was they're staying at Kindred and they're going to this awesome spot to go biking, the Frisco Peninsula, great area to start biking. And I saw Aaron's eyes just perk up over there as he thinks about the northern side of the highway. But like that's also something we can look at. Yes, we have trails. Yes, we have amazing trails on the mountain, but those aren't necessarily for everyone. And so there's a target for those.
But everyone can stay at Keystone and then go over to Frisco.
There are amazing trails that exist for beginners
Yes,
that
there are.
right next to us in the back of the ranch and in the dump trails.
The trails and open spaces, addressing that
Yeah.
as we speak. Marketing creating a marketing map basically for the local
And that's,
national forest trails that the trails and open space members are focusing on, but that's kind of beside the point a little bit. I think, and if Councilmember Kerr agrees that section E, we should push it off.
sure. Yeah, we
And
don't have, I think I had thought that step one for a September campaign was socializing this with all businesses in the area.
yeah, this is,
And it's already
yeah,
to do that. So I think what might help us is to not focus only on marketing events, but marketing as a change of mindset to put Keystone in people's attention. And that helps, that's an easier way to think about this.
Yeah, I don't think of this as marketing events. I think of this as marketing the community.
Yes.
Events are easy. Community is tougher right now because it really, the community hasn't been marketed. Christy.
Thank you. I believe we're all kind of coming to the same point about like the cart before the horse type thing, and trails and open space are really highlighting what we need to be able to have trails accessible. And then that will time well with the summer or pushing it to summer to say we will have something for them to advertise.
I think that the group can meet that because of the amount of people on the committee. That project has been well divided up. Jess, would you agree with that assessment? And I do think while I understand the worry about premature deployment, I think we're going to spend all this money to develop it. We don't want to then not deploy it.
Well, the key is the deployment would occur before it's developed. As proposed. That's why I'm saying, wait, you develop it, then you deploy it.
And then, again, we don't have to have a bourbon and bacon level event
No.
for this to pay off. We could have
We have
a few
Keystone. It's always
small
yeah.
events or,
Right.
yeah. And I'm going to punch the final button here, and that is sense of community. I think that will, having a great brand and starting to use it will encourage that, embellish that sense of
tell
community.
you what, it would be nice to have a brand before we start buying signs identified in our wayfinding program, because it might be nice to have a little,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
but
So to try to look at this, I would, subject to one attorney review, because there's a lot of stuff, by the way, in the back of this that I think frankly are illegal. At least one of them, because it talks about a commitment that goes beyond this year from a financial standpoint. There's some things that have on the insurance requirements and the other, the attorney needs to review and weigh on from a legal standpoint. But the other piece on page in 2.1 or year one of the program, it isn't 117 million of additional income.
I don't think there's any guarantees. I mean,
We have $160 million of retail sales.
so take that number out.
I would say take it out. But that was a holdover from what we had before. I'm not objecting, but
I still don't believe the updated numbers in this email, by the way, but.
no, I don't either. But frankly, that doesn't really matter as we're progressing with the first step.
And we will start tracking.
And then we'll track and we'll understand.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to see if the 5% return is right. It'd be interesting.
I'd like to
But
see
we'll see as we go forward. So I would propose we allow them to go forward. You move the prototype campaign out. The attorney has to review it and make sure that it passes muster. I'd like her to also, you all to look at the criteria you're laying out to evaluate this by. It's extremely complex for a $100,000 contract, and it's all public record. And if you put a rating down and you decide at the end of it you want to hire somebody that's lower, but you believe they're more value to you, you now can't do that.
I think that's very valid. I did not question that kind of stuff, and it's within our purview to make those
changes. That's why we get the attorney looking at. So going out tomorrow is probably not appropriate.
But let's do it soon.
Get it done in a week here.
57.
I know.
I was just going to ask, do we all think that the timeline, I think it was 20 days or so, is enough time for this to be posted?
It was put together by marketing professionals, so if they feel it's acceptable, I don't know how long.
They have somebody who handles these. If it's a small firm, I guess they'll depend on how hungry they are.
My concern boiling down is if somebody who built the RFP knows about the RFP is the only one to respond to the RFP.
I very much doubt if you were the only one to respond, that we would close on that contract. I very much, like I said, this is not committing us to anything.
We will find out what's out there, what the ideas are, who we might decide to work with.
So given the caveats I've kind of laid out, is the council thumbs up or thumbs down for allowing them to go forward? It would probably be trying to get this out prior to the next council meeting. So
I would like to review it before it goes out at the next council.
For what, if I may ask? Because
Completion.
or for what? Because
Completion of what we've asked Jan to do.
which is take out the first paragraph and change the required first plan in section E and have lawyer review for.
The fact that all of the answers have not been in the public record is a concern for me, and we're making a decision to possibly procure $100,000+ in services.
We're not making a decision, and all of it will be in the public record long before that decision is made.
I see back my comment.
So I'll go back again. Thumbs up to allow them to go out.
And adding a catch-all.
And catch-all and the other stuff we've done. All right. I think it's an important first step, but I just wanted to make sure the concerns were out there and we understood them.
Also, for the record, I don't think that Breck's approach to just marketing the winter, or excuse me, the summer and fall has really been successful for the year lodging operation. Yeah. So.
Well, that's worth discussing
Yeah, but
further another time.
All right. So at that point, it's now 7 o'clock. I will adjourn the work session and we will commence the council meeting momentarily.
Are we moving anything else from the work session to the council
I
agenda?
haven't moved anything from the work session council yet.
No.
You proposing?
No, they're being moved to the next week.
And I will just reach out in emails to everyone about setting up. I'd like a large projects retreat sometime in the next month or two. A wish list
Projects.
of capital projects, a wish list retreat with the council. A park or a sidewalk or a fishing pier or a, you know,
He's talking, he wants some guidance to guide next year's budget. That they're about to go into budget season.
So, did we close this?
You were close. So we are now adjourned. I already adjourned it from the work session. And do we need to take 5 minutes? We can just start a meeting. All right, you got,
5.
we're going to start in 4 minutes.